This is going to be one of the more insane trade ideas we've had in a while, but boy, is this one going to be fun to talk about. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and every once in a while, a big name on a struggling team will start to hit a possible market as someone who could be moved at the deadline. And every time that does happen, Red Sox fans immediately ask the question of whether or not they could be brought to the Boston Red Sox and what it would take to get them here. This year is no different because recently it was reported that the Blue Jays could possibly be looking to move both Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Red Sox fans immediately have been asking the question, can this be done? So I thought on a Friday we would have some fun and take a look at this possibility. Take a look at what it would take to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr., why he could make some sense on the Boston Red Sox, and why in a million different realities this probably won't happen. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe and that like button if you haven't already. We talk Sox content almost every single day. Also, don't forget, these episodes are always available in podcast form. You can listen to it on any of your favorite podcasting apps. All you have to do is click the link in the description down below or head to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so the reason we're talking about this and the reason Red Sox fans have started asking this question is because a couple of days ago, a report came out from Mark Feinsand which talked about the Blue Jays possibly opening up conversations about trading away one of their cornerstone players in either Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, in any reality, even this unrealistic one that we're about to get into, Bo Bichette doesn't really make a ton of sense for the Red Sox. For starters, he's really not having that great of a season offensively, and with the defense he's providing, he really just doesn't make sense for this team, even in a short-term capacity. However, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. actually does kind of make some sense in some weird warped reality, and he could be a lot of fun in Boston. For starters, the Red Sox right now have a gargantuan hole at first base. Triston Casas is still predicted to miss a significant amount of time, and the replacements that the Red Sox have brought in to sort of make up for that gargantuan hole have been, well, let's say less than satisfactory, I would assume, to what the Red Sox expected from him, and certainly from what Red Sox fans have expected from him. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming in here would go a long way in helping with that. Right now, he is currently hitting .282 with a .375 on base percentage and a .404 slug, which is good for a .126 OPS plus, about 26% above league average production for Vladdy Jr. at the plate. He also has 5 home runs, 8 doubles, and 24 RBIs. Now, it certainly isn't the Vladdy that we saw when he finished second in MVP voting 3 years ago, but it's still really solid production coming from your first base position. On top of that, Vladdy would be an absolute monster at Fenway Park. How do we know that? Well, he kind of already is. In 39 games at Fenway throughout his career, he has a .336 average, a .421 on base percentage, and a .592 slug, good for a 1.013 OPS or a 140 OPS plus. Again, 40% more productive than the average hitter in Fenway Park. He also has 9 home runs and 12 doubles in those 39 games, which would put him on pace for 29 doubles and 19 home runs were he to play 81 games at Fenway a year. That would be absolutely monster production from the right-hand side of the plate. Plus, come on, tell me it wouldn't be the most fun thing in the world to have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Devers back-to-back in the heart of the Red Sox order. This would be a ton of fun. It would be incredibly fun to watch how this plays out over the course of this season and the next. And on top of this, the dude absolutely hates the New York Yankees, saying back in 2022 that he would never sign with them even when he's dead. That sounds like a Red Sox fan favorite to me. But Corbin, Casas isn't going to be out forever. What do we do with him when he gets back if they were to trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Well, the answer to that is kind of there isn't a perfect fit, right? Vladdy probably isn't going to be able to play third base. He probably is just going to be an everyday first baseman. But what you could do is you could sort of rotate those guys in between the DH spot, right? Have Casas sort of work his way back through the DH position while Vladdy plays first base. And then when Casas is 100% ready to go. You could flip-flop them basically every other day and still get them into the everyday lineup. It's not a perfect solution, certainly not a perfect fit on the Boston Red Sox, but this is a guy that you certainly should be able to make room for. And in this reality, again, not a realistic one, just one of a hypothetical reality, this would make some sense for the Boston Red Sox. You would be able to fill this gargantuan hole at first base with someone who has the potential to be a really impact bat for the Boston Red Sox. It would be a ton of fun to watch how he would interact with this team and how he would interact with this lineup. And on top of that, even when Triston Casas is healthy, we talked about the combination of Vladdy and Devers in the middle of the lineup. Imagine a 3-4-5 of Vladdy, Devers, and Triston Casas. That would go probably toe-to-toe with any of the best 3-4-5s in the entire sport. You're talking about a guy who would absolutely transform this Red Sox lineup, and again, would just be a ton of fun to watch. Unfortunately, like I mentioned in the intro, there's not really any conceivable reality where this would be a possibility, and there's a couple of reasons for this. The first and probably most obvious reason why this trade would probably never actually happen in real life is because of the asking price the Blue Jays currently have. From the same article, quote, Blue Jays set ridiculous asking prices in trade talks for first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, if a reporter is saying ridiculous type trade talks, now obviously this is just initial conversations. We don't know what the Blue Jays are going to look at the deadline. If they get even worse, maybe they get a little bit desperate to retool and that price does come down. But right now, I don't think the Red Sox would be willing to put together a package that would come close enough in order to get the Blue Jays even remotely interested in actually trading him in division, and also just actually opening these conversations in general, because the Red Sox have been pretty unwilling to part with any of their top prospects. Even for a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who has been declining a bit over the last couple of years, that asking price is still going to be astronomical because of Vladdy basically being the face of the Toronto Blue Jays. In order to get him to the Red Sox, you're probably looking at a package that looks something like the Red Sox sending over Masataka Yoshida in order to get someone back the Blue Jays have control over and could be an immediate impact on the 2024 and beyond Toronto Blue Jays, while also taking up, I would guess, probably most of his contract, right? The Red Sox would have to pay the Blue Jays in order to take Masataka Yoshida, and then you're probably adding on a couple of really highly touted prospects. My guess would be something in the Red Sox top 4, top 5 prospects, a Miguel Blaze, a Yoelan Cespedes, and another probably top 10, top 15 prospect to sweeten the deal even more, whether that be a pitcher like Luis Perales or Wickerman Gonzalez, or a position player who's closer to Major League ready, who could make an impact at the big league level over the course of the next year or so in a guy like Nick York, right? That is a lot to ask for a player in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's not only been declining statistically over the last couple of years, but who doesn't really have a ton of time left in arbitration. He's a free agent after the 2026 season, and this gets even more complicated because they're in their own division, which is another reason why this trade probably doesn't work. To trade within your division, it has to sort of be a perfect match for both teams. Because you're trading in the division, you're going to see the immediate impact of your trade basically 20 times a year, which honestly, for a lot of GMs, a lot of CBOs, definitely makes you a bit nervous. It's going to be one of those trades where you see the immediate impact from both sides basically right away. And for the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, it just doesn't feel like there is a possibility of getting to a point where it is a perfect match for both sides, despite either side probably having what the other needs. But in my opinion, the biggest reason why this would probably never happen with the current Boston Red Sox is because of, one, what the ownership kind of has constricting the front office, and two, what Craig Breslau's vision is in terms of trading over this offseason, right? Because for the most part, Craig Breslau's been looking at longer term solutions, guys who could be a part of this Red Sox team for the next few years. Highlights here: Vaughn Grissom, Richard Fitz, Greg Weiser, David Sandlin, who they traded for, right? There are a couple of different examples of this over the course of the Red Sox offseason. and trading for a guy in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. who would immediately make the 2024 Red Sox much better doesn't answer that question of what this team's going to look like in 2026, 2027, where Craig Breslow, in terms of trades, is really looking at right now. The other thing is you look at the ownership of this team. You think they're going to shell out what it would not only take to keep Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the Boston Red Sox uniform for a longer period of time than just next year, but even pay what he's worth over the next year and a half? Probably not. They have that budget. They have those set parameters that they've decided to put on themselves. And I would be shell-shocked if Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s price tag fits within that budget. And even then, even if they are able to somehow fit him into this budget, again, you'd probably have to pay for Masataka Yoshida to go somewhere else in order to get Vladdy to play every single day. And you would have to give up the opportunity to pay anyone else in areas of bigger need. You're losing a couple of pitchers after this offseason. You're going to have to start locking down some of the other young talent that you started to do over the next coming years, right? There are other things that the Red Sox are going to need to focus on that are within this budget constraint that probably have a higher precedent than one Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So when you look at this overall, it is a ton of fun to talk about. And there's a reason why every time a big name on the market starts to pop up, Red Sox fans ask the question of what it would take to get him here on this team, because it would make the Red Sox a whole lot better, and it probably would help the Blue Jays retool and start refocusing on being competitive again in the next few years. It just isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen in any conceivable reality for the reasons we listed there, and because this type of stuff just doesn't happen for the Red Sox, especially over the last couple of years. I wanted to get ahead of this conversation because I've already been asked this question probably 30, 40 times, either on live streams or in comment sections, about whether or not the Red Sox should go after Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And realistically, you look at it and it does make some sense. There is a world in which Vladimir Guerrero Jr. kind of fits in perfectly with where the Boston Red Sox are going. I just don't see any reality in which the Red Sox are picking up that phone and they're saying, hey, Blue Jays, we're going to offer you a package to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which could be unfortunate, or it could end up saving them a lot of money in the long run. We just will never know. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this? Again, I don't think this is realistic. We're just having some fun on a Friday here, talking about some trade possibilities. Is this something that if it was on the table, you would be interested in? What would your trade package for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. look like? And what do you think is the biggest thing standing in the way of the Red Sox actually doing it? Let me know all your thoughts on whether or not the Red Sox should trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps it out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, you can listen to these episodes now anywhere you get podcasts. Either go to your favorite app, look up Red Seat Radio, or click the link in the description down below. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.